Right now, I'm watching Twilight of the Gods on Netflix, and a sex scene pops up, and I'm like, oh shit, this is lit. And then he does what every man forgets to fucking do when they're having sex. Like, I don't know where it goes in our mind to not do it, but you should be doing it to enjoy the hell out of sex. Like, why wouldn't you do this? But he ate her out as soon as they started. And I'm like, yo, this guy knows what the fuck he's doing, because you'll actually miss it. I'll tell that to men. Like, if you're thinking you have a girlfriend and you think that you're doing the most, you're not doing the most at all. Like, Big Bang Theory started making fun of this with Leonard, where they were like, he's the king of foreplay. He's like, I'm the king of foreplay. But we always forget about foreplay. We just go straight for the vagina, straight for dick in the vagina. And it's like we're in a rush. But I kind of understand it, because when I had my girlfriend, we were having sex all the time. But this was because her parents weren't home. There was nobody that we had to look out for. Like, when we came to my house, I had to watch out for my dad. Like, school gets out at like 2:30. She comes on the bus with me. We go straight to my house. And then we have a good, it's 2:30. We get there around 2:50, 3 o'clock. And then my dad gets home at around 5 o'clock. He always works the 9 to 5 shift. That's how he lived his life. He worked from Newark, around Newark. I forgot exactly where. I should start asking more questions, but he works around Newark. And from Newark, he never like changed his job. He worked from, first he lived in Newark, then he worked in Newark. Then he moved to Elizabeth, then he worked from Elizabeth to Newark. And then he moved to Edison, and he still didn't change his job. He still drove that like 30, 45 minutes to get to work. And he only got paid minimum wage. Like, it wasn't anything serious. So he would get home around like 5, 6 o'clock. If he goes to the store, he gets home around 6 o'clock. If he comes straight home, if he just decides not to go to the store and he's like, all right, bro, I'm just going to take it home, he would get there around 5 o'clock. So me and my girlfriend had like 2 hours, right? But as young kids, when I'm talking about, this was high school junior year, the second year of high school, it's cool how like Chinese people, their high school is only for 3 years. Their middle school is for 4 years. It's pretty cool. But anyway, I really sidetracked myself. This is our second year of high school in America. And for some reason, when you're that young, sex lasts much longer than you think. Like, I don't know why, but it lasts much longer. It takes time for you to build up the suspense. Like, when you have your place that you can take your time in, sex lasts for a really long time. I'm telling you, people that wait till they're like 21 or 22 for sex, okay, yes, you're having good sex, but you missed the chance to have it at 16, 17 years old. I know people are probably going to be like, what is your problem? Dude, there's people having sex when they're like 12 years old. So don't be coming at me talking about have sex at 16. 16 is a great number. 16, 17 is a great number. I know that we're really particular about girls having sex that young, but girls have sex really young. They have really large sex drives, and we forget about that. Like, as men, we don't think that girls think like us, but girls do think like us. So they just don't like the same things as us. Like when we catcall them on the side of the road, when we're like, yo, hey, what's up, sexy? Girls don't do that. They just look. They're like, they take a look at a man, and if they're with other girls, they're like, oh, he's cute, right? But for guys, it's like, yo, that girl is sexy as fuck. Look at her ass, bro. That's the difference. It's like, whoa, he's cute. He looks like he works out or something like that. And a guy's like, yo, that girl's ass is so fat, bro. I would nut in a second. It's just a little bit more aggressive, but girls are just as aggressive. Like, we forget that. But anyway, when we're young, like, I remember my first encounter with sex was with this other girl. She wasn't my girlfriend. We never made it official. Actually, I forgot her name because I always forget her name. It starts with a K. So we'll just call her K. With K, I fingered her, and it was my first time having any type of experience with sex. And bro, she was wet as hell, wet as anything. And she was young. We were both 16. This was my first or second year of high school. I was enjoying my time, and we were about to have sex, and I couldn't stay up. Like, I was nervous. It was not her fault. Like, there was nothing wrong with her. She was cute. She was blonde hair, blue eyed, a little bit on the chubby side, but nothing that would be like, bro, this is nasty. It was just all my fault. It was all a male not performing well. I was just like, I was nervous, bro. It was my first time. And I go in to put it in. She gets out the condom. It's a Magnum. I'm sitting here like, bro, I don't even think I practice with the condom. Like, I never touched condoms before. And my first time like experiencing with a condom was with a girl. And that is not a good time to do it. This is why I say, like, when you are young, you need to learn about these things. And parents, and mostly parents, they complain about public schools teaching our kids about this stuff. And I'm going to put up a little video so that, you know, like, the parents complain a lot. They're like, I don't want my children knowing about sex. Don't tell my daughter about how to use deodorant in class. I'm going to teach her myself. But like, what you don't understand as a mother, you don't understand that in school, your daughter stinks. Like, they need to know about deodorant. And what they do in fifth grade in America, fourth or fifth grade, they teach us about sex, and they teach us about body odor and about our bodies changing. And this needs to be taught to us. But parents are like, no, I don't want to teach my child that. They don't need to know it. And the question is, when and how were you going to teach them? Because you've waited so long that the process already changed. And now your daughter comes to school smelling like BO, and everybody's making fun of her, and she doesn't know what to do because you didn't take the time to teach them. That's why public schools take that time to teach these children these things, and they get a lot of pushback. And some parents are like, I'm going to homeschool my child. I don't want my child to go to this school. I want to put my child in a private school. I want to put my child in a Catholic school. And I'm not sure. I can't talk about like Catholic schools and private schools. I don't know when they teach kids about sex, but all I know is that the public schools do, and the public schools get a lot of pushback for it. They're like, they're not qualified to teach my kid about sex. They're not qualified to teach my kid about deodorant and stuff like that. But when are you going to do it? But anyway, I never practiced with a condom. I was very much a greenhorn in it. And she brought out the condom, and I knew that you had to put it on, but I don't even think I knew exactly how to put it on, because does it go one way or the other? Like, how do you know which way it goes? And is the lube on one side or both sides? Like, how does this work? So I put it on, and as I'm trying to get in, like, I start going soft, performance anxiety to the max, bro. I was just like, bro, I'm scared. I was like, bro, I'm scared. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, bro. So I'm putting on this condom. I try to get in, and I'm just going soft, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. But then her parents were about to come home, so it kind of saved me. It was like, okay, we couldn't do it. It wasn't even in her bedroom. Like, we were in her living room. So, like, performance anxiety to the max. I wasn't ready. So my problem was that my experience showed, why aren't I getting down and eating her out for the first time? Like, all I did was finger her, and we didn't get to that point of foreplay. Kids don't do foreplay. I feel like a lot of kids miss out on it. Like, it's just dick to vagina for as long as you can go, and then boom, that's it. Like, but foreplay is very, very much important. Like, getting down there and eating a girl out. This is mostly for guys, unfortunately, but for girls too. Like, I think girls forget about how important it is for you to go down on a man, for you to at least teach them that, hey, this is how we have sex. Like, it's not just 1, 2, boom, and then we're done. Like, no, like, yes, it does feel great for you to have penetration, but foreplay is extremely important. Getting down there and eating a girl out is probably the best thing that you can do. Now, there could be different circumstances where the girl doesn't smell good down there, or the guy doesn't smell good down there, especially when you're young, because you've just gone through 8 hours of school. And who knows if it's summertime, if it's wintertime, your body is changing, so you're not sure about your BO. So we kind of stay away from that. Like, some girls are like, giving blowjobs is disgusting. And, some girls are able to get away with it because they think that giving a blowjob is disgusting, but they receive head and they don't mind it. They like it. They don't complain about it. They don't say anything like, I don't want you to eat me out. Like, I don't think any girl would be saying that. Like, they want that. I have a girl that's my best friend, and she talks about how she loves the foreplay part, but sometimes the guy just doesn't do it, and we fall behind heavily on that. So I'm on here just saying, like, bro, if I was to talk to 16, 17-year-old me, I would be like, okay, first try a condom, see if you like it. Like, try it out and see if you like it, because later on in life, you're going to be able to get a vasectomy. But for right now, unfortunately, they don't allow kids under 21 years old to get a vasectomy. And I think that's very wrong. We have this whole thing where it's like a child needs to think before they act, and we believe that children don't think. And I was reading a manga, and she was talking about her very first crush, and she's like, I remember my very first crush very clearly. It was when I was around 5 years old. And people don't realize that kids are very like, yes, we forget a lot of things. It varies through people, but a lot of people do remember experiences from when they're 5 years old, and they are coherent at that age. It's very, very easy to think that a 5-year-old doesn't know what the hell they're doing because they don't know how to use a stove, or they still wet the bed, or anything. Like, you can think of any excuse. They don't know how to clothe themselves. But you got to remember that kids, they don't have a source of income. You are their income, and it's whenever you have time, that's when you focus on your child. And you got to remember, it's like when parents work, they usually take a staggered work thing, where it's like the mother works in the morning so that when the kid gets out of school, they're there in the afternoon, and then in the afternoon their husband goes to work, because the husband needs to be there while they're at school. So just in case something happens in school, they can pick them up or they can deal with them. I feel like it's very rare that parents work at the same time and they come home at the same time. We're not like celebrities. Celebrities have a choice. Like Beyonce only does concerts now when her daughter is out of school, or has breaks or something like that. And I heard that, and I was like, that sounds like a little pampered, don't you think? And they just want to be there for their kid. Like, their kid becomes their best friend at this point. But I would tell myself, like, all right, sit down, try out a condom. Unfortunately, vasectomies are only after age 21. I think that a lot of people need to learn that. They don't teach you that in high school. I feel like that's one of their taboo things. Now, when it was for us, I remember when our gym teacher, because this happens during gym class, it's called health class, for one semester. I forgot how it goes. You know how there's quarters, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and those quarters change for health and gym. So first, second, third quarter, you'll have gym, and then fourth quarter, you'll have health. That's typically how it goes in American schools. So I remember when we had health, my teacher was talking about, and then after he explained everything, after he explained how a baby is made, and that if you have sex, the possibility of having a baby is very high. He then opened the floor for questions. He was like, does anybody have any questions? You can ask me anything. And all these kids, like, nobody wanted to ask questions. Nobody had any ideas. But I raised my hand and I was like, what if you have to pee? And he was like, what do you mean? It's like, what if you have to pee before you, I don't know, come or something like that? Like, what if you have to pee during sex? And he's like, well, one thing is going to come out. One or the other is going to come out. It's either you're going to pee or you're going to come. And that was my question. That was his answer. He didn't go in depth. They didn't go in depth about birth control. Maybe they talked about birth control. I'm not really sure. But typically birth control is taught to a girl when they turn around 12 years old. It's if the parent decides that, hey, I want my girl to have birth control so that it helps with their cramps and stuff like that. So girls learn about sex much earlier than us. They say that they're more mature, but really it's that nobody teaches a guy anything. Nobody sits down with a guy and says, like, all right, now that you're 12 years old, you need to start using condoms. And we'll be like, what the hell is a condom? It's like, a condom is something that you put on before you have sex. And before you have sex, you want to make sure that you put on this condom. Yeah, I just went around the circle. You want to make sure that you put on this condom and that will protect you from STDs, and that will protect you from having a child, oh my gosh, I can't even think of it, but a child that you're not ready for. That will protect you from having a child that you're not ready for. So that doesn't get told to guys. Like, personally, my parents never sat down and talked to me about condoms, never sat down and talked to me about sex. They never sat down and talked to me about children. That came to me in elementary school. And that was a savior, like, to be able to ask those questions that you have, because parents don't do it. And for a parent to go on in a board of education and start complaining that my child is being taught about sex, I don't think that's fair. You don't understand what a child goes through their life. Like, for example, one of my boys, I'm not going to say who, I'm going to keep it respectful here. One of my boys had a gay experience when they were young. The guy asked him to suck his dick, and he was like, okay, he did it, but he didn't enjoy it. So that was just his experience. He lives in Wyckoff. That is what the fuck the name is, bro. Holy shit, bro. I completely forgot what the hell it was called. I was like, where does he come from? And I searched up on Google. I was like, this is where Derek Jeter lives. We passed his house. We were driving up to Wyckoff, and we passed his house, of Derek Jeter's house, and it was overlooking a lake. It was like this mansion overlooking a lake. It looked like the king, and then there was houses around, and it was on top of a hill. There was houses around the hill, but his house was on the very top of the hill, and it was overlooking the lake. Bro, it looked like peasants and a king, or a king and the lower people that are right before the king, the senators and shit like that. That's what it looked like back in Greece type shit. But yeah, we were driving there. But anyway, that was his experience with being gay. And I'm going to put on this video where this lady talks about how she thinks that the school shouldn't teach her kids about gay people because it might turn their kid gay. But we all know that gay comes out of nowhere. It is a part of the human species. It's part of our evolution. And for you to be like, I don't want my kid to learn about gay people because it might turn my child gay. That is the most ignorant shit I ever heard. I feel like it's very progressive. You will get taught it one way or another. Like, I learned about gay people when my experience with gay people was pornography. I was watching porn, at the age of 12, 13 years old. It just comes out of nowhere. You don't know where it comes from. That class of sexual education had nothing to do with me watching porn. I don't know where I watched porn first, but I definitely watched it myself, and I watched lesbians because I thought it was super, super hot. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I watched a lot of lesbian porn when I was young. Right now, I watch both lesbian and heterosexual porn, but that's besides the point. But when I was younger, that's what I would watch. Very interested in it. I loved it. So many times I sat in my room, and we only had one computer in the house. This was a PC. It was a Windows computer, and it was in one of our rooms. I forgot whose room it was in. I think it was in my sister's room, but they would both be out doing God knows what. playing sports or some shit like that, and I would be home alone. And when I was home alone, I would hop on that computer and I would watch my porn and I would jerk off and I would have a great, spectacular time. But that was my experience with gay people. And I didn't understand. Nothing was like running in my mind like, oh, this is a gay person. There are gay people out there. This was still back in 2010. So it was still in the early 2000s. So nothing progressive has started yet. The LGBTQ movement hasn't started yet. So it's still very new to me. Computer was still very new. It was it didn't have a flat screen. It had the computer had the whole back to it, if you know what I mean. Like it looked like one of those old television sets, and they were pretty large and thick. That's what I used. But yeah, I wish somebody sat down and explained it more to me, because sex is very, very important. You can have children after having sex. That's how important it is. Some girls are having sexual encounters when they turn 12 years old. They already are there, and the boy is just like tagging along. The girl is going to a gynecologist, and the gynecologist is explaining stuff to them that boys don't get explained to. We don't have anything close to a gynecologist. All we have is a pediatrician, and a pediatrician doesn't tell us anything. So I think it's very important that we have sex education somewhere. We need it because parents don't talk about it. Like, my parents are very religious. I'm sure they're very much like, before you have sex, you have to marry each other. But my dad wasn't even like that. When I got older, my dad just said that you need to find a good girlfriend and you need to start living with her so that you guys can pay the bills together, so that life comes easier for you. So find a girlfriend. And he was like, I think he said Vietnamese girls. He was like, Vietnamese girls are very, very good looking. And I just wasn't used to having those conversations with my dad. So I just laughed and I just nodded my head. In my head, I was like, I like white girls. And I think, but you're telling me that you like Vietnamese girls, but you married my mother, and my mother is Haitian too. My dad is Haitian and my mother's Haitian. They're both Haitian. Both came from Haiti. So my dad told me that, and it's not like I knew the difference. It was just like, okay, you like Vietnamese girls, but you married a black girl. Why'd you do that? Like, I wanted to ask those type of questions, but the relationship that I have with my parents, it doesn't work like that. Unfortunately, I can't have that, but I can have that conversation with my gym teacher. See, that's the thing. Like, that is very, very fucking important, that we need to be able to have someone that we can talk to, because our parents, we can't talk to our parents all the time. Very fucking important. Very, very fucking important. Parents cannot fill that void. If they try to, that's great, but you try to break the ice and you think the ice is broken, you feel water, but the kid is like, hey, bro, there's another layer of ice under that ice that you just broke, and you will never get to that layer. You will never break that ice. Like, what you think is broken is not truly broken. Bro, we are in Antarctica right now. It's going to freeze over once again. You might have broken it for that day, but the following day, bro, I'm not going to be able to talk to you. And we very much wish that we can do that with each other, that we can break the ice. That's why we have friends. That's why we have coworkers. That's why we have teachers. That's why we have parents. We have those different levels so that we can find somebody that understands us. Like, for me, When I found Dan was the only one. He was a weed dealer, and I felt like he was the only one that understood me, but I still didn't talk to him about certain things. There were certain things that I didn't talk to him about, but I felt like I could have if I was in the right mindset. You got to remember, I had schizophrenia. So I was really fucked up at that point in time. So I couldn't really talk to him. I couldn't convey anything to him that I wanted to, but I could have. That's the thing. With my parents, I couldn't, because my parents aren't drug dealers. They don't understand the struggle that I'm going through. They don't understand that it is 2013, 14, 2015. It's 2015. Weed is illegal. All my parents did when my father found my quarter pounds, he threw them out. He would get them and he would be like, "What are you doing with this?" Like, he didn't even like, my parents were very like nonverbal. So he just kind of like got it out of my bag and just started shaking his head. You just see this huge fucking mason jar, a huge mason jar of weed. He's like, "Where'd you get this from? We're going to take it back right now." Like, my parents weren't the type to call the police on me because they loved me. They didn't want to see me go to jail. They tried to take care of it themselves, but they didn't understand that there was a huge problem behind it. Like, nobody understood that, hey, it's not just the weed. I actually have mental health issues. And my mental health issue is a very severe type of issue. And coupled with weed, it was just a big snowball effect. But anyway, I couldn't talk to my parents about it. Like, I couldn't say anything. I couldn't act the way I needed to act around them. All I could do was just get in trouble with them, and they would be like, "I don't understand you." And I'm like, of course you don't understand me. But I was able to go to Dan, and I was able to express everything that I needed to express, and that hopefully he would understand that I have a problem. Hopefully he would, because he was in a more understanding type of environment where he's like, "I sell drugs and I sell drugs to, I sell weed and I sell weed to you." And I'm very much like, "Okay, that's cool, but I need you to figure something out for me. What is wrong with me? Can you figure that out?" He was a very smart guy, and hopefully he was going to figure it out, but he wasn't able to figure it out, unfortunately. But that's the same as what girls get when they're 12 years old. They get a gynecologist. So they're like, "Okay, if I have problems, maybe this gynecologist will figure that out for me." And if, like, for example, if my vagina stinks, will my gynecologist say something about it, or will they not say anything about it? We look for people that are very open with us, that can help us get through these problems by talking to us and by understanding that, hey, you might not say anything about this. You might be a little nervous, but let me say something so that you understand that, hey, this is nothing to be nervous about. This is nothing to feel bad about. You can talk about this with me. So it's like having a therapist, like, but regardless, sometimes they're not enough. You need somebody that you can connect with. And we find ourselves going out there to find that person that we can connect with, that we can say anything that we want to with them. But we will always have our secrets. There will always be something that we won't talk about. And I feel like we need to find somewhere, someplace, someone that can do that for us, because it's very hard to find those people. So I know this went really far into my thought process of like eating a girl out, giving head, but very important. If I was to talk to a kid, I would be like, "Listen, you're going to have sex. I'm not going to be able to stop you from doing it. You're going to say that you have an after school program, but really you're meeting up with your girlfriend, and you guys might take it far." Like in middle school, in middle school, I was going out with this girl named Kayla, and Kayla was really hot. Like, I don't know what she was doing with me. I don't know what she found cute in me, but she found me cute, and we went out, and she was like, can you stay after school? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I can stay after school. I'm like a bad boy, so I'll be after school, but I won't be doing a club or anything. I don't even think I found a club, but she was in a club. She had to tell her parents that she was in a club. And just in case her parents called the school and was like, hey, is my child in a club? They needed to say yes. The teacher needed to hold her down. So this is why I feel like this is why we can talk to teachers and really have a good connection with them, because they're an adult that will tell us things that our parents won't tell us. I don't know how it works, but it's like we feel a little bit of security with that person. But she would be like, yeah, let's stay after school, and we would meet up and we would go make out behind the staircase and we'd have a great time. She had a great ass. I can't get over her. But when I got away, right? So your child will most likely find a way to meet up with their girlfriend or boyfriend, and they will do anything to get that free time with them. If you allow them to stay after school, hey, they're going to go behind a McDonald's or a Wendy's, go behind a garbage can, and then they'll have sex. This is real life. I don't know why people don't understand that this is real life. Like, they start living in it like it's a fantasy. Like, this is real fucking life, dude. Real life. This is what these kids do. You're not going to teach them something. They'll learn it on their own. If they get pregnant, hey, somebody's not using a condom, hey, like, they're going to figure it out on their own. So that's exactly what happened to me. Like, I didn't use condoms. Me and R decided not to use condoms, and then we got pregnant. I took care of the whole thing. I don't have a kid right now, obviously, so you can understand what we did. But what I forgot to do was to eat her out. What is that called? Hold on. I'm going to oral sex. We can call it oral sex, head, one of those two. But what I forgot to do was give her head. Like, and the one that got away, Kayla, the other girl, Kay, I didn't give those girls head. And I very much wish that I did. I wish that I was a more foreplay type of guy, but I was very young and we were just getting into it. Like, yes, we had sex for hours. I was very young and my testosterone was going through the roof and we were having fun. You got to remember that a girl is ready to have sex at the age of 12 years old, and a guy is ready to have sex at the same time, but they don't get to experience it because they're being put in this bubble. And you have parents that are walking around with like this monkeys. See no, hear no. See no, hear no. Is it smell? No. It's hear no evil, see no evil. So they're just walking around with their hands in their ears and their eyes closed. And they're like, sex doesn't exist. It's a fake thing. Me and your dad, we just adopted you or something like that. Like, they don't talk to their kids. They don't say anything. And they don't explain to them that they should be giving head. Like, They don't explain that. And I think that's a really big fucking problem. But yes, I didn't give head enough and I feel left out. Like, it's a very great experience. I left this girl out of this conversation purposefully because it really sucks when this happens. Like, it can happen with the guy or girl. Okay, I could talk about this. Like, if a guy has smelly balls, a girl is not going to want to go down on them. And if a girl has a smelly vagina, the guy is not going to want to go down on them. This is where talking to a doctor really comes into play and explaining to them that, like, hey, I don't smell well. There's something wrong with my odor down there. A gynecologist is there for a girl. A girl can ask all these things, but a guy doesn't typically have that. And a guy doesn't typically smell their own balls. Like, a gynecologist might be able to smell something fishy, but a girl still has to explain to them that it smells fishy. And then the gynecologist explains, like, okay, your pH balance is off. You have yeast infection. Here's these pills. Like, my girlfriend, Randy, she had a gynecologist and she had a yeast infection and she got medication for it. She is not wealthy. She's actually in the poor class. She's very poor. She lives in a trailer and she still has a gynecologist. But a guy I'm in the middle class, barely middle class. I have a house. She had a trailer. I have a house. And I don't have anything like that. All I have is a primary care doctor. And I remember my pediatrician would check my balls. She would check to see if there were any lumps because I wasn't old enough to check that. But once you get old enough, they expect the man to do those inspections themselves. They don't expect you to, the doctor is not going to check your balls anymore. Like, I went to my primary care doctor. He didn't check my balls. He checked if I could stand up straight, if I could stand on one leg, if I could feel vibrations through my legs to see if I have diabetes. He checked my blood, but he didn't go down to check my balls. And men don't have that. Nobody checks us. Nobody does it for us. Maybe your pediatrician will. I bet you there's some that don't even do it. You can ask some guys. But I remember pulling my pants down and she would be like, cough for me. And I coughed and she was checking my balls. Very interesting. But what the pediatrician didn't tell me was that I should be giving head. And that was very fucking important. We're coming back to this. It's very fucking important. You should be giving head. Give head. Okay. It's an enjoyable thing. If she smells down there, unfortunately, you can't really do it. I understand that. There's different places where some things are acceptable and some things are not acceptable. But maybe you should hold your nose and get down there and do the work because you're going to miss out. Maybe you shouldn't hold your nose. Like, it's going to be really bad. When pH balances are off, unfortunately, that stops you from doing certain things. So girls, definitely get yourself checked. I know you guys do. Guys, you need to get yourself checked as well to see if you smell down there a little more than usual. Like, is it not a usual smell? You know, guys get older and they get more neglectful of themselves. It's unfortunate, but it happens. But I missed out a lot on giving girls head. And I didn't know I would miss it this much. You know what I mean? So do it. Just do it for the girls. Do it for yourself. It's mostly for yourself. It's not for the girl. And yes, she enjoys it. But for you to be like, I can give head for a good 5-6 minutes bro, you're gonna be applauding yourself when you look back on it. You're gonna be like, even if you got into a bad breakup, even if she cheated on you, treated you like shit, you're gonna be like, bro, I gave her the best head of her life. We had a great fucking time. And you're gonna be applauding yourself, bro. It's all for you. It is all for you.